Today we're looking at the top 10 best Game 7 performances in NBA playoffs history. Let's get right into it. Number 10, we have Allen Iverson, 2001. Stat line, 44 points, 7 assists, 6 rebounds. The 2001 NBA season is always remembered for AI winning the league MVP and dragging arguably the most offensively inept team to the NBA Finals. It's also remembered for Iverson dropping 48 points on the defending champion Lakers and handing them their first and only loss of that playoff run in Game 1 of those finals. But while Iverson deserves all the credit in the world for pulling that off, he had to do something almost as remarkable in Game 7 the round prior. With Ray Allen and the Milwaukee Bucks pushing the 76ers in the final game of the series, Iverson made sure that he put them out of their misery. Iverson's playoff run was littered with outrageous scoring numbers. Yet it was his 44 points, 7 assists, and 6 rebound performance in Game 7 against the Bucks that placed him on the list. For most of his time in Philadelphia, Iverson was surrounded by hard-nosed defenders who couldn't score the ball. For the most part, it worked out. Well, until they ran into the Lakers the following round. At number 9, we have LeBron James, 2013. Stat line, 37 points, 12 rebounds. After winning the NBA title the year prior, all anyone could talk about were his epic failures on the big stage. To their credit, there were many. LeBron failed to win a single game during the 2007 finals against the San Antonio Spurs. Also, who could forget his epic meltdown during the 2011 finals against the Dallas Mavericks? James froze against the competition, ran away from the ball, couldn't score in the clutch, and proceeded to average only 17.8 points. He made up for his shortcomings a bit by winning it all in 2012, but there were plenty of people who simply weren't believers. With a chance to win back-to-back championships, James exercised a few demons. After Ray Allen hit arguably the most clutch jumper in finals history in Game 6 to keep their season alive, James took care of the rest in Game 7. Kawhi Leonard may have been considered one of the best defenders in the league, but you couldn't tell on that night. James dropped 37 points on him and got his hands on 12 boards. He used head coach Greg Popovich's game plan against him. At number 8, we have Draymond Green, 2016. Stat line, 32 points, 16 rebounds, and 9 assists. The countless bricks that he continues to put up nowadays makes it nearly impossible to believe, but at one point, Draymond Green was a true stretch 5. His arrival was the reason former two-time All-Star David Lee became expendable. Green is also the primary reason why plenty of teams today play small ball. The multi-talented offensive and defensive player was a full package. Unlike now, how teams dare Green to shoot? When he was in his prime, that was the last thing you wanted him to do. In Game 7 of the 2016 Finals, Green easily had the best game of his career and outshined future Hall of Famers such as LeBron and Kyrie Irving. Green was the game's leading scorer with 32 points. He also led teams in total rebounds with 16 and was second in assists with 9. Green was simply hot everywhere that night. He shot a ridiculous 73.3% from the field and 75% from three-point land, knocking down 6 trays. Green's historic Game 7 ultimately went by wayside as James and his Cavaliers stormed into their house and won the game, completing their 3-1 comeback. At number 7, we have Charles Barkley, 1993. Stat line, 44 points, 24 rebounds. While he may not look it now, at one point Charles Barkley could dominate a game like no other. Standing at only 6'6", the round mound of rebound could crash the glass with the best of them and score over much bigger defenders with little to no trouble. Even with Michael Jordan dominating the league, Barkley believed he was better than him and wanted to prove it by meeting up with him in the 1993 finals. He did in fact earn a trip to the finals that year by putting on a ridiculous clinic against Seattle Supersonics in Game 7 of the Western Conference Finals. Barkley tortured everyone who attempted to guard him by dropping 44 points. He was also his typical disruptive self on the glass, grabbing a mind-numbing 24. The Sonics as a whole only grabbed 31. At number 6, we have LeBron James, 2016. Stat line, 27 points, 11 boards, 11 assists. It was essentially impossible. After the Golden State Warriors went up 3-1 against the Cleveland Cavaliers in the 2016 NBA Finals, everyone was wondering when the parade in Oakland would take place. The Warriors had won 73 games in the regular season, and with an NBA title, they could officially claim that they were the best team in history. But while Warrior players were busy envisioning how many diamonds would be in their championship rings, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers were on the comeback trail. With the back-to-back 41-point games by James that led to victories, the self-proclaimed king stomped into Oracle Arena and finished them off. James was everywhere. He scored 27 points, had 11 dimes, pulled down 11 boards, sold the ball twice, and blocked 3 shots. Speaking of shots, James had easily one of the most iconic moments in NBA history. At number 5, we have Kevin Garnett, 2004. Stat line, 32 points, 21 rebounds, 5 blocks, 4 steals. It didn't matter if Kevin Garnett was scoring 30 points or struggling from the field, the reaction was always going to be the same. Garnett screamed and beat his chest every time he could. While never produced any championship in Minnesota, it almost did in Garnett's lone MVP season in 2004. Before they got knocked off by the LA Lakers in the Western Conference Finals, Garnett had to leave it all on the court in Game 7 in 2004, the round prior against the Sacramento Kings. Garnett was always great in his career in big moments, but on this night, he was legendary. The big fella dropped 32 points and grabbed 21 rebounds. He also sent 5 shots into the stands and registered 4 steals as his Wolves walked away with the win. While the offense was great, it was his underrated defense that really got the job done. He held fellow Hall of Fame big man Chris Webber to 18 points on the night. At number 4, we have Jerry West. Stat line, 42 points, 13 rebounds, 12 assists. Recording a triple-double in a regular game is hard enough. In the NBA playoffs, it became even more difficult. The list of players who have registered one in Game 7 in any round of the playoffs is extremely small. In total, only 11 players have pulled it off. The first to do so was Jerry West. Not only did West become the first, but his was quite possible the most impressive. West had an impossibly great stat line against the Boston Celtics of Game 7 of the 1969 NBA Finals. He scored 42, grabbed 13 rebounds, and 12 assists. He showed off his stamina and he didn't sit down for a single minute, playing all for all 48. Despite their heroics, Lakers still fell short against Bill Russell and the Celtics, but only by 2 points. If fans are looking for someone to place the blame on, look no further than the free throw line. West was money from the stripe, knocking down 14 of his 18 attempts. The Lakers as a whole, however, were horrific, missing 19 on the night. Wilt Chamberlain alone missed 9. And while we aren't trying to put all of the blame on the Hall of Fame big man, we're simply trying to say that you've got to step up and make them when they count. At number 3, we have Bill Russell, 1962. Stat line, 30 points, 40 rebounds. He may have been in the league for only 6 years at the time, but Bill Russell was already working on championship number 5. Standing in his way, like always, were the Los Angeles Lakers. There was a reason why the Boston Celtics never took their foot off the gas during the regular season. They wanted to ensure that the road to an NBA title ran through Beantown. Ultimately, that was the difference. Russell's high placement on this list comes from his rebounding numbers. Russell somehow managed to collect 40 that night, an NBA Finals record that still stands today. In fact, Russell has 8 of the 11 highest rebounding games in Finals history. The Celtics needed all of it as they were dealing with Jerry West and his 35 points as well as Elgin Baylor in his 41. Russell ended up holding them off, winning by only 3 points. With everything on the line, Russell produced the first only 30-40 game in Finals history with a win. It almost gets no better than that. At number 2, we have James Worthy, 1988. Stat line, 36 points, 16 rebounds, 10 assists. It didn't matter how great James Worthy was in his career, he was never going to be considered the man. With Magic Johnson running the point and throwing passes that seemed virtually impossible, as well as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar skyhooking his way to over 38,000 career points, James Worthy didn't stand much of a chance. Still, Worthy played his role as a third stringer to the best of his capabilities. On numerous nights, Worthy would quietly score 20, but the bulk of the credit would go to Johnson and Abdul-Jabbar. With that being said, not even those two all-time greats could steal Worthy's shine on this night. If it was anybody's guess who was going to walk away with the NBA title in 1988, both the Detroit Pistons and the LA Lakers were the best teams in the league and had difficulty putting a stranglehold on the finals. While Johnson, Abdul-Jabbar, Isaiah Thomas, and Joe Dumars were expected to take over, it was Worthy who did just that. He was impossible to guard as he scored a game-high 36 points on a ridiculous 68.2% from the field. His total 16 boards were more than the rest of the Lakers starters combined, and only Johnson dished out more assists on the night than Worthy's 10. And finally, at number 1, we have Walt Frazier, 1970. Stat line, 36 points, 19 assists, 7 rebounds. It was an iconic moment, of course. A severely injured Willis Reed, barely able to move, and the thought to be done for the rest of this series, limped onto the court in Game 7 as the New York Knicks took on the Los Angeles Lakers. From there, Reed would go on to hit his first 2 shots, and that's all anyone has ever been able to talk about. Reed was a terrific player, but Walt Frazier carried the team in Game 7 to pick up the win. The all-timer dropped 36 points on, get this, over 70% from this field. He was also perfect from the free throw line, nailing all 12 of his attempts. Frazier managed to hit a glass a bit too, pulling down 7 boards. What was most impressive about his performance was that Frazier dished out the 3rd highest assist in Finals history with 19. In fact, Frazier's 19 was more than the entire Lakers team all put together. They had 17. Well guys, thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. Which of these performances was the most impressive? Let us know in the comment section down below. Be sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Tip Top Sports, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss out on any amazing video from us in the future. Once again, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all in our next video. Goodbye.